What's going on, everybody? Alonso here with Visual Street, and we are sitting at Shop Talk Live. Dave is out for the week, but I'm taking over, and we have a special guest this week, recruiter, industry leader, Elie Massabki. And you are coming from, you have a couple companies, but you are here for Mechanics Marketplace.
That's correct.
And is Mechanics Marketplace just an app, or is it a company as well right now?
So we started Mechanics Marketplace about 3 years ago, and the idea was that a lot of the automotive technicians, a lot of people in the industry were retiring, and they still wanted to find jobs and work in the industry on a temporary basis or part-time. And also we found that a lot of students in school needed a way to acquire more skills while they were studying, so they needed to have some part-time or temporary employment. And there were no really good vehicle for that. Temporary staffing agencies are not heavily used in the automotive industry. So we thought that something that could be done online would benefit the industry. So this is a way you can find someone, professionals, automotive professionals can find a job very quickly through the app, and also businesses can find them, connect with them directly, and hire them through the app. So that's how we started. And then the industry, then we talked to a lot of shop owners, said, well, this is great, but we have a big shortage. We want to hire permanent employees. And we started the recruiting business about 2 years ago.
Recruiting is such a huge industry right now across fintech, every industry out there needs high-level recruiters, because the shortage of workers, especially in the San Francisco Bay Area, is incredible. That's why there's so many people out of the rest of the country coming here, right? That's
correct, yeah. We see it here. We started in the Bay Area, and we noticed that also the problem is actually national. We happen to have a great economy right now. Everyone has a job, so for employers, it's very, very difficult to find good talent. And this is why we help them, kind of speed the process and take over that burden of finding good talent.
How are you guys leveraging LinkedIn to find talent right now? I know there's not many people in the automotive industry, especially the smaller shops on there, or even the mechanics for that. How are you leveraging it? Because you're doing a lot on LinkedIn. I see it.
Yes, we leverage LinkedIn. Today, unfortunately, we for independent shops, there's not a big presence of automotive technicians there. The ones that are there tend to be more dealership techs, and we connect with them, and we're very engaged with them. And we're also in addition to LinkedIn, we use all social media. We're all over Facebook, in a lot of different groups, and we connect with them, and we bring up also some issues with them in terms of where do they go look for jobs? What are some of the issues that they have currently at their place of work?
Sure.
So we engage them in these, try to collect a lot of information that is useful for the businesses, because it educates them. It kind of gives them some feedback from the employees in terms of what it takes to keep them too. Yeah. So how do you keep them happy? Because it's great to go recruit, but it's a lot more important to retain the good talent that you have.
Sure. So so you're building the platform, and it takes time to do that. It takes time for people to drink the Kool-Aid and say, like, you know what, I want to be a part of this. It may not pay off right away in the next 30, 60, 90 days, but a year, 5 years, 10 years from now, the industry is going to be better off, right? Where are you getting the most, where are you finding the most success right now? Is it directly from the schools?
Well, we not the schools, not yet. No, actually, we're finding a lot of mobile mechanics that are out there that have spare time. So when you're in the mobile mechanic business, you get an appointment scheduled, but you don't have, not everyone. Some of them are very successful, very busy, but some of them find, okay, they have 2 appointments in a given day. The next day, they don't have anything, or they get a cancellation. So it's a good way for them to fill in their schedule. Yeah. So we're working with them. We also are working with, as I mentioned, semi-retired automotive technicians that want to get back into the industry and and be busy, make some extra cash. Part-time employees, students. So it's really across the board.
Are shops willing to take part-time employees at this point? Are they that thirsty? Because obviously there's so much work, they want full-time. Right?
Yes. Some shops have difficulty with that because they expect certain workmanship. They want them to go through certain training, so they are not ready yet. But they're feeling the pain, and they're starting to feel, okay, well, maybe we can find a way to work this out. Others are open to it. We have some customers, some shops that are, say, I'm dying here. I'm short 2 technicians, and I need help.
Yeah.
The owner is back in the shop turning wrenches instead of managing his business.
Not doing marketing, not doing the things that he's supposed to do, right?
And so those shops need help.
Yeah.
And so this is kind of, you can think of it as a Band-Aid in the short term.
Is there a standardized like onboarding system for all these auto shops, these independent auto shops right now? Or is anybody working on it? Or would it be a good idea?
I think it's a great idea. I don't think it's formalized or it's standard across the industry. Some shops do a much, much better job than others at onboarding, training. Others just bring them on board, say, okay, here's a car, go fix it.
Yeah, right.
And those are risky because working on a car is a liability.
Sure.
You have to make sure that the car is fixed correctly, that the consumers take their car and it's safe to drive. So a lot of shop owners understand that. And they always have a way of checking the work. But I think if there's a way to put them through some formal training that is more uniform, that would help the entire industry.
Sure. You are a part of a lot of different groups, and you guys are nationwide. You mentioned that you are in 10 different states right now. Is the shortage a national issue, or is it global?
It is definitely national. We work with shops in big cities like Los Angeles, New York. We also work with small towns like some you've never heard of, like South Dakota, or Sydney, Nebraska, or places, very small town that have less than 5,000 people population, for example. But the challenge is uniform. In some cases, people just cannot attract local talent, so they have to advertise nationally.
Yeah.
So definitely it's national, and also we see it, and now we've been talking with some businesses outside of the U.S. that have the same challenge.
Yeah.
Canada has definitely the same shortage.
Sure.
And also in Europe, Germany, UK, there's a huge shortage of automotive technicians.
But the automotive industry is not going anywhere. You have so much technology going into the Teslas of the world. I read this morning about a Honda teaming up with another company. They're going to be doing almost these like little buses, but they're small and they're autonomous, right? But they still need techs to work on these. So the automotive industry is not going anywhere. It's just shifting and it's changing. And how are they getting the workers to come in and work on those cars? Is it just a better working environment, better pay? What is it?
Well, they are getting them out of the schools. So in fact, they don't want them to be too trained and too set in a certain way. Yeah. So they get them, they bring them, and they train them, because the skills that are required for these jobs are sometimes a little bit different. So if you come in and you want to work at Tesla and you work on electrical cars, the mechanical knowledge is good, but it's not useful on a Tesla. So they work and they train them on electrical and electronic skills, which are required to go work at a Tesla. Or if they're doing assembly, it's more of their metal fabrication skills, or they put them in QA jobs to check quality. So they take them because of their mechanical aptitudes and trainability.
Speaking of electrical, you have your bachelor's degree in electrical engineering, and you went to, I believe, you were in Long Beach for that. Is that correct?
Correct, yes.
Yeah, you started off with that. Where did you want to go in the industry at that point?
Well, at the time, I wanted to be an electrical engineer.
Yeah.
So
But what did you
I
see
did,
yourself working on? What kind of projects?
I was working on hardware design. So those were my first projects. They were a lot of fun. Did a lot of interesting projects that I worked on. But after about in 3-4 years, I really wanted to be more out. I wanted to talk to customers. I wanted to understand the business side of things.
Yep.
I didn't want to just be sitting in front of a computer,
No.
all day. So that's and that's where I made the switch.
And at what point did you jump into the marketing world? And what marketing industry were you into? Is it always been the trades?
I was in high tech for the longest time. I worked for hardware companies, software companies, and marketing was kind of, once you are done with engineering, a good transition is to get into marketing.
Got it.
Because you have the strong technical skills and knowledge, and then you go into a marketing role where you can go explain and try to find business solutions for it.
But there's a lot of people who are really good at what they do in the mechanics of the world, right?
Yes.
But they don't have the personable skills, or maybe they do, they just don't want to do it, right? They're like, no, just leave me in the back.
That's right.
I don't want to just talk to people all day. But you decided to do that, and you flourish, obviously, right?
Yeah, I definitely enjoyed it. Yeah, some people are great engineers. They stay at,
Sure.
that's all they do. Same thing in the automotive space. You have techs that are techs their whole lives and they're good at it, and they don't want to deal with customers. And then you have the ones that are more have more certain, let's say, social skills, and they like to talk and look at the business side, and they become advisors and service managers or general managers in companies.
Yeah. The world of marketing and just being social and being involved has changed a lot. It used to be where, you keep your knowledge, you want to keep your people, you want to keep it close-knit, right? Because you don't want to share those industry secrets. But a lot of people are sharing these days, and I think the community has changed. How can we do better?
There's definitely a lot of knowledge and experience you can gain from other people, other companies. So the sharing is good, and I share my experiences. Whatever I learned, I try to share with other people, and I learn from other people.
Yeah.
So I think it goes both ways.
Recruiting is a big industry. How did you get into that? I mean, I have not heard of too many people or companies recruiting in the trades industry. How did you break into that? And was there just all these people that were like, hey, I need people, and you're like, you know what, might be a good idea?
Well, exactly that. I mean, I've throughout my career, I've always hired people. I hired team members to work for me. And then when I got into the automotive space, I realized there was a big hole, there was a big need. Mm-hmm. And I thought a good way to help the industry is to have a function to go and do that. Focus on recruiting and also augment it with the app, because they're two different type of needs. One is you need someone permanently, and the shop owners don't have the time to do it. Mm-hmm. On the other is I will need a quick band-aid, quick solution.
Right.
And the best way, the industry in the past used to always depend on staffing agencies, temp agencies, which are everywhere. But they tend to take a long time. They are very expensive, and red tape you have to go through. But with an app, you can do it very quickly. So you cut through this, you connect directly with the employees, and you can hire them and then do this as many times as you want.
How does the recruiting process happen at that level? I mean, you're not going into a deep background check with them if it's through the app, right? Walk me through the application on
Yes.
that.
So for the recruiting part, we definitely do all of this stuff. We do all the screening, we can do background checks and all this stuff. On the app, you're right. The idea is you compromise this a little bit for speed. Mm-hmm. Because when there's pain, is bleeding, you need to put a Band-Aid on it right away.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. So typically the situations are, you can find, and it happens a lot in the industry, there's a shop that has all these scheduled, they have all these cars they need to repair, and then a tech calls in sick or quits. Mm-hmm. Now all of a sudden you have two of those missing, let's say, in your team. Now all of a sudden you have cars backed up and you have customers that are not very happy you got a service. Right. So you got to address that problem, and you say, okay, what is the risk for one day to bring in that person? Okay, and it's always a judgment call that the owner has to make and look at reviewing. And we try to provide them a lot of information and background on this job seeker. You know, we have them self-rate themselves on over 20, 30 different skills, the years of experience, whether they're willing to have background checks done on themselves, if they have a driver's license. So we get that information, and there's enough there for a business owner to say, okay, I'm willing to take a risk on this candidate. At least I bring him in. If I don't like him, you know, I can let him go after a day. So it's not, I'm not married to that person. Yeah. And that's kind of the thing. It's a low risk approach.
So for those shop owners, really opening up the gates and then filtering out. Correct. Right? And it's kind of on them.
And we've seen situations where actually the temporary employee came in, they liked him, and after a week, they ended up hiring the employee because they liked him, and the employee said, oh, I like the place here, and I'm willing to work full time. So it was a win-win.
What are some of the ways that shops can look at someone and say, like, you know what, that's somebody that could be a long-time person here, or they are just a Band-Aid to stop the bleeding for the moment being? I mean, is there a standard kind of practice for that?
I wouldn't say there's a standard practice. I think it all depends on their skills and whether what they're saying that they can do is also what they actually can do.
Sure. So because you can check all the boxes,
that's right.
But can you actually do them, right?
Yes. Yeah. So the owner has to watch that temporary employee very closely on the first day or two to see what they can and cannot do. And if truly they are very talented, as they claim they are, then that could be a potential long-term hire.
Could we possibly go a step further in helping those shops to see, like, hey, these guys are a good option because of A, B, and C, and, you know, watch out for these things or look for these things, right? As well as red flags.
Yeah,
too.
I mean, the app is designed to be self-managed. So we usually don't get involved. We try. Okay. We onboard all the employees, and it doesn't have to be just technicians. It could be advisors, could be helpers, porters, drivers, whatever the skills are, and the app kind of screens the process, and there's a review approach. So someone comes in, works. If they do well, they get good reviews. The next shop benefits from the reviews. Okay, they already went someplace. They got good reviews, and okay, maybe this person is lower risk. So this is in a way to reduce the amount of risk when you hire someone.
Yeah. What is the business plan behind it? As a recruiter, as a recruiting tool and application, how do you guys, you know, sustain and stay alive? What are some of the ways? Is there different options for the shops? Are they paying a monthly as a subscription base?
For the app is free. So they basically, if they decide to hire someone, they pay a small transaction fee. And that's basically to pay for the maintenance of the app. So the idea is to have this be very low cost, you know, if tool that provides a solution to a problem that exists today.
So walk me again, like, how do you guys, so if there's, you know, ABC shops in San Carlos, and you're recruiting people for all these shops, how does that work for you guys? How do you differentiate, or how does the shop know that you have their best interest?
So that's a very good question. So this goes back to the recruiting side of the business. So on the recruiting, we kind of firewall every search. So candidates apply for a given job at a given business, and those candidates get funneled to that business. And every shop, if they always get a first right of refusal if they don't, let's say they don't like the candidate, or maybe it's a better fit for. That's one thing we do when people apply. We see whether it could be a better fit based on the requirements, and we try to avoid taking customers that are too close with the same exact requirements.
Got it.
So we try to not have those happen at the same time.
Yeah. What are you really excited about the industry in the next, 24 months, 5 years?
Oh, I mean, there's the innovation and all the new technology. I think it's very, very exciting. Yeah. A lot of new things are happening, as you know. I don't need to tell you, with electric cars, the automation that's happening. Cars being able to self-drive themselves. I think that's all exciting. You know, lot of technology is going in the cars, which is also good for the industry because, you know, people say, oh my God, the engine is going away. But there's a lot of other things that are being added to the car. So the business is, first of all, it's not going to go overnight. Some people say, hey, well, now there's electrical cars, then all the business are going to, all the
Right.
auto repair shops are going to go out of business, and that's not true. First of all, this cycle is going to take 50 years. You know, there's still going to be mechanical cars on the street 10, 20, 30 years from now.
Sure.
They're not just going to disappear, for one. The other is that you shift your skills to, you know, fixing electronic things in the car, battery things that happen in the car, sensors that are in the car. So all these things are the new technologies that are going to keep the shops very busy. They just have to go through new training. A lot of them have, you know, the same thing happened with hybrid cars. So a lot of shops can service hybrid cars.
Yeah,
and
there's
they know
very
how to
few
service.
shops that service hybrid.
Yeah.
Which Tools Garage is one of the shops that does service hybrid shops, and one of the only ones in the area.
Absolutely,
Which is
yeah.
astonishing
Yeah,
to me.
yeah.
As many hybrids that there are here, right?
Yeah, and you're going to see that shift. You know, we see some cars, some shops that are now working on, you know, just electric cars, you know, servicing electric cars. And then all the electronics and understanding all the sensors and how the computer system work. It's the technology is evolving, and the key is for the business to stay up to date on those latest technologies.
Yeah. Do you believe that there is a disconnect between the automotive industry as the builders, the developers, versus actual auto shops, or do you feel like they have a good connection?
Well, the connection is a lot better with dealerships
Right.
because as they introduce new cars, they make sure they have formal training programs for the techs.
Because they want
to
them to
learn.
sell it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes. Independents have to do it on their own in a way.
Right.
So they're kind of like, you know, they're disadvantaged a little bit. But, you know, a lot of shops that have been in the business for a long time have found a way to stay ahead of the curve and learning all these new technologies early and being ready when these new cars come in.
But that's individually, right? They're just kind of fending it
Yes.
for themselves.
Correct.
How do you have what does the conversation sound like when you talk about local individual shops banding together? Is
Well-
everybody just like, I don't think so, Eli? No way.
Well, there are a number of automotive organizations. Like in California, there's the ASCCA, and nationally there's the ASA that has some very strong chapters in certain states, like Arizona and Georgia and Florida, and, you know, some other places where they're very strong, very active. And there are similar automotive organizations that meet on a regular basis, and they talk about these things.
Yeah.
So. And I encourage all the independent auto repair shops to be part of one of these, if they don't have their own. You know, there's nothing special about one of these names. I mean, as long as they form alliances with other shop owners like them, and then they share this information, it benefits the whole group.
As somebody who's kind of in the middle, right? You're trying to help, you know, shops, and you're trying to help these auto techs as well. What are the plans for Mechanics Marketplace to bring them together? Are you doing like live events? Are you podcasting? What kind of content are you putting out there to bring everybody together?
Yeah, great question. So we do have we publish articles. So we have them on. We put them on Facebook. We have an email list, so we send them to our customers. Everyone there gets those articles. We have local meetings that we invite the independent repair shops to come and join. We have different topics that we cover. And we also go to other automotive groups and the colleges and trade schools and discuss different topics with shops, with students.
Yeah. Is there any plans, or are you open to doing something like this on a regular basis to kind of bring people together and then have the content to be, you know, redistributed?
Yes, absolutely. This is a great venue here to share that information with the industry.
Speaking of venue, so you're, you know, already doing business with Tools Garage. How did you get attracted to Tools Garage, and what was your first thought walking through the door?
Well, first of all, I mean, Tools Garage is a brand name in San Carlos, and I live in San Carlos, so and
You can't get away from seeing Dave's face
That's
everywhere,
right. That's right.
Guys everywhere.
And they go to the automotive shows here, so and they have this nice truck that they display. But this is actually when I first started doing business with them is when I went into the shop, and it's amazing how clean the shop is. And I can tell you, I've been literally to hundreds of auto repair shops. Not exaggerating. In fact, in my first 6 months, what I did is I went and visited over 1,000 shops.
Wow. So it's not hundreds, it's thousands.
Yes.
Is that locally, or are you talking about the entire nation, right?
Well, all local.
Yeah.
Between Morgan Hill, San Jose, all the way up to San Francisco.
Yeah.
And the East Bay. So I went and visited a lot of shops just to get to learn a little bit more, learn a little about their operation, what their issues are, what their needs are. Tell them, of course, about our app and how it works and get some feedback on it. And this is one of the best independent shops that I've seen.
Well, there's a reason why shop number 2 is already on their way in a different location. There's talks about shop number 3. That's a fast growth within a short period of time. They're obviously doing something right. And, with Dave, we've been doing media for them for the last 3 years, and, we see it. And we're just learning how to utilize. I think we've barely scratched the surface on it. But once we get everybody banded together, I think this could be a huge platform to kind of not unionize, but just kind of share information. Right?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. I agree.
Any other thoughts? Any questions? I'm a media guy.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the one thing on the top of my mind right now, and I'm talking to a lot of shop owners about organizing, trying to work together to address what I think could be a very dangerous scenario for the industry 20 years from now.
Yep.
The shortage of new blood that's coming into independent shops is...
What are the numbers right now?
Well, you have about 50% of the industry of the techs are going away in the next 20 years. And it's happening
That's
at
half
a rate...
of the industry.
Yes.
Half.
It's happening at a rate of, and people don't see it, it's like, it's been going on for the past 10 years, and it's happening at a rate of 1 to 2% a year. And you say, well, 1-2% is not a lot, but when you think after 10 years, that's 10 to 20%.
Sure.
And then it keeps on growing,
Yeah.
and it's eventually gonna take away half of that industry. So there needs to be an effort among all the independent shops to team up and try to access and go after all the new blood that's in the trade school, the colleges, and try to recruit more and do it in an organized fashion, formal fashion, because they don't have the resources. On the other side, you have the dealerships and government and the OEMs that are doing a very good job. They have deeper pockets. They have formal programs to go to all these places and recruit. And today, they're recruiting about 95% of the new blood that comes into the industry.
So that they're 95%.
Yes.
That means the rest of these shops have 5% of the already small pool to bring in those people. I mean,
That's right.
That's the exact reason why all these shops are, not fighting, but they're scratching for this pool, this
Yes.
really, really small pool. Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah.
So, what are the reasons why these shops are not coming together?
Well, it's competition. Well, first of all,
Competition, right.
it's competition, but also the other thing, everyone's busy. Everyone's busy in their own shop. They don't have free time. We try to schedule meetings outside of the shop to get them all together. A large percentage of them don't show up because they're just too busy. It's a long day. They're busy at work, managing their own business.
But that's a matter of prioritizing. Like
Yes.
literally, like if you do not start right now doing something towards the industry and not just your own shop, you will be out of business in
Right.
10 to 15 years,
Yes.
if not even less.
Right.
Is that correct?
And they look at it a little bit myopically, if I may say. They look at it, okay, do I have a need today? And they say, if they don't, then they say, I don't have time. Now it's no longer a priority for me. And they don't look at it, okay, well, I may need someone next quarter or the following quarter. And I got to always, recruiting is something you have to be doing on an ongoing basis.
Sure, right.
If you see large corporations, that's how they do it. They're always recruiting. They're always going to colleges.
Right.
If they're involved in industry and they're out there, even though they may not need someone today, but they know they may need someone next month.
100%.
So they're always recruiting. Dealerships are doing that. The competition, in a way, is doing that, and they have to do it not only for the short-term survival, but also for the long-term.
Absolutely. I love what you're doing with app. I have several friends that are in the recruiting industry in different, they're high-level recruiters, but they're in different industries. And I think we can take that model and really kind of scale it for this industry. I would love to be part of that because I believe in the trades. I believe in blue-collar workers. I believe in tradesmen, and I know it's a dying breed. I know across all trades, for every one that's retiring, for every 3 that are retiring, only 1 is coming into the industry. That's a huge issue. Yeah. So, the going to a traditional 4-year school where you might waste some time, you don't know what you're doing. I mean, I have several friends that got their bachelor's degrees, didn't know what they wanted to do, and then they went back to getting their master's because they didn't know what to do. Right. So they moved back home. Then they're in their 30s and they still don't know what to do. Yeah. And then it's almost like they're overeducated because they feel like they should be at some level, but
another challenge you have in the industry is that a lot of there used to be programs in high schools
there's no more shop class in high school.
Shop classes are gone. So people that had those mechanical inclinations or attitudes or interests had a way to kind of try out and learn,
right.
And decide to take that path.
Yeah.
Not necessarily. Not everyone has to go to college. Not everyone wants.
Well, traditional. I mean, you got to go through schooling,
right?
Whether it's yourself watching YouTube
exactly.
videos, whatever it is.
Yeah, they definitely need to go and pursue that education. So there's no shortcut for some kind of formal training, whether you do automotive or something else. But you don't have, a lot of people are kind of, because of parents or whatever they're exposed to, because, I got to go to 4-year degree. They go, do this, and they find out that's not, I can't find what I'm looking for. And they may have some good mechanical skills and aptitudes that are an interest that they may be missing out on because they have not tried that.
Well, I always think about this, the kids that are playing with Legos and building stuff, the kids that are breaking down, old TVs or old technology and kind of putting it back together. Those are the kids that, I mean, some of my best friends are tradesmen, and they're some of the most brilliant people I know. And in time of, let's say, a zombie apocalypse or something going on at the end of the world, I would want them around me because they can figure it out. Right? And so incredibly smart and brilliant people are in this industry. It's not just like a monkey with a wrench. It's not like that. I don't know why that, if that was ever real. Some of the smartest people are tradesmen. Yeah. So why aren't they should be wanting to come into the industry. Yeah. It's not pay, right? Because they're getting more pay, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's also another aspect of it is another trend that we're seeing is that people in the trade leaving because they're not happy or satisfied with their working.
So this is like culture or just
I mean, in the automotive industry in general, and this is another thing we talk about in terms of retaining employees. Some employers don't know how to lead. They don't know how to coach.
Well, they're good at the mechanics, but might not be good at that.
Yes, I mean, if you look at the majority of shop owners today, they used to be mechanics, and when they say, okay, I want to have my own shop.
Yeah.
So some of them have done a good job in terms of learning the business skills and being good entrepreneurs, and also good leaders and coaches. Mm-hmm. And those are the best owners and the most successful ones.
But that's a small pool, right?
And a lot of them, unfortunately, don't learn these things, and they're mechanics, technicians that have become now shop owners, and they don't know how to communicate with their staff. They don't know how to train them, and they sometimes don't treat them, very well.
What do you say the percentage of leadership is versus learned versus being a natural born leader?
I mean, leadership is a skill you learn. Yes, there are some natural-born leaders, but it's a skill you can acquire. It's there's no science about it. You just learn how to do certain things. You just you watch other people do it. You hear about it. You read articles about it, and you just start to develop those habits that make you a better leader.
What are the top 3 leaders that, or maybe mentors in your life that really stand out with their leadership styles?
I mean, they are more of people that I've worked with that were my leaders in the past. No names that you necessarily know. I mean, there are some leaders in the industry that people talk about, and I cannot say whether they're good leaders or not because I haven't worked with them. Some people admire them because of their successes.
Right. But they don't know their failures, right? They know
that's
the successes.
Right. Correct.
Yeah. I'm reading a book by Bob Iger, president of Disney, and I've always felt that Disney was doing the right thing. You go to Disneyland, Disney World, and everything is just perfect. You just see it, You don't see the behind the scenes, but everything that you can tell that they have a system and processes for everything. Yes. And if this happens, national disaster, or anything happens at the park, there's plan B, C, D. Like there's a system for it, and everybody's been trained.
Yes.
And that's what I really love.
Yeah.
I think every company, every industry needs to have that standardized.
Yeah.
And then it's always a work in progress, right?
Right. I mean, a big name that used to be known in California, in the Bay Area, one of the best companies to work for was HP. And for the longest time, it used to be like the number one company to work for.
Right.
And it was all about leadership, and it's about the culture that they built. And so that's what every business needs to instill at their own company. Every shop owner, every business owner, CEO needs to do this at their company.
That's true. I believe that's the true company culture, right? It's like the leadership, and do you have the people around you that will support each other in times when it's good times and in bad. I don't believe it's nice. So having the beer kegs, having going to ball games, all the things that are attracting people to other industries, but it's really just about supporting each other in that time of need, and just having that culture where you have meetings all the time, where the CEO and president has an open door policy where you can kind of communicate, and whether they take their advice or not, they're listening.
Yeah. I mean, one thing that I heard that Dave does here is every Friday he makes breakfast for the team. I mean, I think that's kind of cool.
I know it's Wednesday. We never get. I've done it a couple of times, but that is very cool, right?
It is cool, and this is something because we used to have, one company I worked for. Every Friday they would be like free bagels, and that was a culture. The whole company would get together, have some free bagels,
sure.
and you remember that. Yeah. And I think the culture they've created here in terms of
well, for a boss to be making you breakfast, it's a humbling. It's like, hey,
yes.
I'm going to feed my guys in more ways than one, right?
Right?
And bring everybody together, and just kind of. I believe that's a great way to do it, right?
Yes.
Any lasting thoughts, questions, or?
No, this is actually, this has been fun. This is.
I appreciate you having me here,
yeah.
Especially coming on a short notice. I would love to sit down and talk to you more and see what we can do for the industry, because it's hungry, it's thirsty, it needs it.
Yes.
You spoke about Ratchet and Wrench. We've shot that in Chicago, I believe. They're out of Minnesota originally.
I'm not sure exactly where they're based at.
But
I mean,
just to be involved in more of those.
Yes, I mean, one thing we could
events.
do is maybe on future podcasts is to delve into very specific topics. For example, talk about how you retain employees.
Yeah, that's
so
huge.
we can get into that, a lot of different things, kind of give some knowledge to the shop owners and okay, here are a few tips, things you can do.
Yeah.
They're not very difficult. Everyone can implement them, but you have to kind of remember that these are some of the things you need to do. We can talk about recruiting. What does it take? What are the efforts? I mean, someone wants to do it themselves. I mean, what we do, we can teach other people to do it. There's no magic trick or secret
just
sauce,
ongoing,
but
right?
it takes a lot of
Education,
time, and some people say, well, I want to do it myself,
Sure.
and we can tell them,
Yeah.
here's what's all involved.
Absolutely.
So we can get into the details of that.
Well, I mean, if I was a shop owner, for example, like I said, I use Alexa and I get ready with Alexa in the morning and I say, what's my flash briefing? And it goes through a process of, short pieces of content, whether it's like weather or motivational quote, whatever it is. I would love to hear something about business where it's like, hey, this is the tip of the day. And, one tip to retaining, people in your company is this, right? And it's just something that just kind of sticks and maybe inspires you to do something.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Well, I appreciate you being here, and maybe next time Dave can interview. Maybe he has some different questions, but I love what you're doing. Keep doing it, and if there's any way that Visual Street can help and bring in Tools Garage, because I feel Dave is. He's an inspiration to me. He's become a mentor in business. We talk numbers, and he's just a great guy. This industry needs that.
Yeah, absolutely. Right? Yeah, and I appreciate the opportunity to be here. And again, our mission is really to help auto repair shops find the skills, find the talent, and help them focus on their business because it's become a big burden on the entire industry.
Eli, this is the plug time. Where can they find you?
www.mechanicsmarketplace.com.
I don't think you have to say www anymore.
Yeah,
but
that's right. That's right.
All right, we'll get them in the Visual Street world.
Or, as they say, on the line.
on the line. But you have an app that's free. They can check it out and play with it.
Yes.
You're online and you're automotive. I mean, you're in the industry.
Yes, and we're always reachable. We have 800 number on our website. They can call us. Any questions? We're always ready to help. So
any local events happening where you're going to be at, where people can kind of learn and talk, maybe reach out and have a live Q&A with you? Anything coming up in the next month or two?
Well, the meetings we're going to be going to are kind of for members only. So we're going to a number of ASCCA chapter meetings. So we're going to be at, next week, we're going to be at ASCCA chapter meeting in Berkeley. Chapter 16. We're going to another one in San Jose next month, and we're going to some down in Southern California. So we're going to be busy talking to a lot of shops.
Love it. And I just want to end it with this. If money wasn't an issue or anything wasn't like availability wasn't an issue, what is your dream car? What would you love to drive this Sunday afternoon?
Well, I love Maseratis. I like the Maserati.
The man's got a taste. Love it. Well, appreciate having you here, brother.
Yeah,
and until next time.
All right, sounds very good.
All right, guys, I'm Alonso, Shop Talk Live, and we'll catch you next week, 12 o'clock every Wednesday.